Okay, so let me share my screen. Kindly also, could you confirm that you can see my screen? Thank you so much for joining the session about cybersecurity KPIs. And I hope that the session will be informative. My name is Mohamed Atef. I'm the founder of InfoSec for TC. I'm a cybersecurity specialist, and I got more than 20 years of experience, especially in the standard and compliance implementation. So today's session will be about a very important topic, which is effectiveness measurement. And I'll try to simplify. Actually, it's a simple project, but I'll try to explain the importance of the topics that we will cover today and how anyone who is working in cybersecurity or information security or GRC should be familiar with what we're going to cover today. The main point of the session today is how can we measure the effectiveness of what we are doing and work on improvement. Cybersecurity, it's a very dynamic field. And as a professional in this field, in the cybersecurity or information security, you are not just responsible for implementing cybersecurity control, and that's it. Otherwise, we will be just installing antivirus and leave, or just conducting vulnerability assessment and provide the report, and that's it. But measuring the effectiveness of what you are doing and work on improvement, it's one of the major responsibility of yours. Because it's expensive. When we work in cybersecurity, we spend a lot of money, license and software and applications. So it's important to know if we are using the right tool or not. Is there any area of improvement or not? And this is what we're going to explain. So let me give that from a use cases perspective instead of talking generally. So this is the ISO 27001 standard, which is a very important information security management system framework. When you check some of the security control, for example, you will find protection against malware. Okay. One of the requirements is to have a protection against malware to your organization. I'm taking that as an example. I mean, this is not the only topic, but if you check, for example, vulnerability management, one of the control is to conduct vulnerability management. If you check DLP implementation, so there is different controls, technical and non-technical, available here. Let's get back to the malware protection against malware. The question is, if the standards that I'm following, ISO or NCA, ECC, or ISR, or NISA, whatever standard I'm following, is enforcing to download or to install an antivirus on all our infrastructure, servers and endpoint and everything. Does it mean that by installing the antivirus, we are safe and the antivirus is working effectively all over the organization? Okay. Or should we measure the effectiveness of the antivirus and see if there is any area of improvement? The area of improvement could be, for example, we need to change the antivirus, it's not working effectively. How can I measure that? If my management asks me, are we using the right antivirus or should we switch to another product? Okay. I cannot figure it out. I have to consider a method to measure the effectiveness of the security control, especially the critical one of it. So let's take an example. Let's talk about the antivirus. So if my case, let's say I do have an antivirus installed on my machine, okay, installed on all our infrastructure, all our computer as a compliance requirement, okay. If I decide each quarter to measure the effectiveness of the antivirus, so in the first quarter of the year, I will measure the effectiveness of this antivirus. How can I measure the effectiveness of the antivirus? It's quite simple. What is the functionality of the antivirus? Is to detect and remove viruses and any kind of malware. So first 3 months, how was the performance of the antivirus? Let's say he detected 1,000 viruses, but he was able to remove only 900 of them. I'm sorry. This is the formula. So how many virus was detected? I will say, for example, 1,000 virus. Okay. How many virus was not cured? 100. And 900 was cured. So here I can say that the effectiveness of the antivirus is like 90%. He detected 1,000, but he was only able to remove 900, right? So just by calculating that, how much virus was removed comparing to how many viruses was detected, I can figure out a formula for a KPI. So the effectiveness of my antivirus, the first quarter, is 90%. The question is this good or bad? I cannot say. I need to have a KPI. I need to have a target. So I cannot say that 90% is okay or 95%. I need to have a target. So besides the formula, I also need to have a target. So if my target was 95% and the KPI performance of the antivirus was 90%, this is not good, right? I didn't achieve my target. We're going to talk about how should we decide or how should we specify the target. But the point is, if I was able to achieve 90% and my target is 95%, it's not really good. I have to analyze why I was not able to achieve my target. Is it a problem with the antivirus? Or maybe it's a problem with the user. Maybe the user keep removing the antivirus from their computer to be able to download programs and download anything they want. So in this case, it's not an antivirus problem. This is a problem with the people. Maybe I need to put a password on the antivirus so they cannot remove it. Maybe I have a lot of people who are using malicious USB. So maybe I need to consider blocking the USB. USB should be blocked anyway. Or a lot of people who are downloading malicious program from the internet. So I need to raise the awareness. So when I don't achieve the target, I have to analyze it. That's why we have something called causality report. Why we didn't analyze the KPI or the target for this specific control. So once I do that, let's say I'm measuring the KPI quarterly. Every quarter I'm doing that. So next I will start working on fixing the problems that didn't allow me to get to my target. And then I will measure the KPI the next quarter. If the KPI next quarter was the same or less, it means that we still have a problem. Because keep in mind, antivirus, for example, is a license-based product. So every year I will have to pay the license for all those licenses. So I will check how much did I achieve following the same formula. How many virus the second quarter was detected comparing to how many virus was removed or treated. Still, I didn't achieve my goal. I will investigate why I didn't achieve my goal. Okay. And then I will do that in third quarter. And then I will do the same in fourth quarter. And accordingly, once I follow this approach, and by the fourth quarter, I will have a very clear vision. Is this the right product for us or not? Okay. So if I keep getting an improvement on the antivirus, I have problems that was not related to the antivirus. But when I solve the problem, I was able to achieve my goal, which means that this antivirus is working effectively. And speaking with the management, yes, we have a KPI for it. And I suggest that we renew the same antivirus. But if I keep working on the root cause and we still have a problem with the antivirus, and by the end of the year, I was not able to achieve my goal. I'm measuring it every quarter. By the end of the year, I'm not able to achieve my goal. So I can clearly say, no, no, we have to change this product. Okay. So if you think about this approach that we did, how useful is it? Because it's not only about the antivirus. You need to do that for vulnerability management, for incident management, for risk management. I will show you a KPI framework. But if you got the concept right, you will see that we can measure the effectiveness of different security controls. And based on that, I can work on the improvement, because security is all about improvement. It's not a static field where you have everything set, all the application installed, and then we can say we are fine. No, no, you have to measure the effectiveness. Don't just assume because I do have an antivirus installed on all our infrastructure, we are safe against malware. No, a user may remove this antivirus. This antivirus, after all, is an application. It may get corrupted. So you have to keep measuring the effectiveness of different security control. So by doing that, you are making sure that the company are utilizing the security budget in the best way possible. And every security controls that we are measuring or we are using are measured, and we keep improving that. So this document or this KPI are coming with another document called causality report. And the causality report is where I should analyze the KPI, especially if I didn't achieve the goal. So my goal was 95%. I was able to achieve 90% in the first quarter. Why? Is it a lack of awareness? Is it an issue with the setting? The agent has a password and doesn't have employees are removing the antivirus from their computer. I have to analyze the situation. And accordingly, I'll be able to work on the improvement, and eventually I will know if this is the right product or not. This is an example of using a KPI to measuring the effectiveness. Okay. Now, why I measure that quarterly? Why I didn't just measure it before the renewal? Because if I measure quarterly the antivirus, I will have a chance to keep working on the improvement, right? But if I measure it by the end of the license before renewing, I will get to know if I achieved my target or not. But in the same time, I don't know if this was because of an issue with the product or this was a problem in our organization. Because in many cases, it's not a problem with the product itself, it's managing the product. This is the first point. Second point, how should we specify the target? Usually it depends on the infrastructure size. So if my infrastructure is huge, we have maybe 4,000 machines and maybe 300 or 400 servers, which means that it's not easy to manage. Maybe we have some machines on remote sites, or if a problem is there, it takes me time to send someone to fix the problem. So I cannot ask for 100% as a target or 99%. So I have to be realistic. But what if my infrastructure is only 200 or 300 machines and maybe 20 or 30 servers? So I need, in this case, I can increase the KPI target because it's all manageable by me. So the target is usually specified based on the size of the infrastructure. It doesn't mean that the target should be low. Let me be on the safe side and let's make the target 75%. No, you have to have a reasonable target, and every year you have to increase your target. Don't be static, because it's all about keeping the improvement running. So this is an example on how to utilize the KPI to measure the effectiveness of one of the security control, and to be able to decide, should I keep using the same security control, same antivirus, or should I switch to another user? Okay. How many KPI we should have in our organization? Actually, we have different category of KPI. So we have governance KPI, like risk management. We have technical KPI and operational KPI. So I will show you now some of the KPI. This is a KPI framework that we usually use in different organizations. And I will say from 10 to 15 KPIs will give you a very effective way to measure most of the critical security controls, governance and operational. So the first KPI for sure will be risk management. Risk management need to have a KPI. Why? Because it's different people responsibility. Security team are the one who conducting the risk assessment. Different technical and business department are the one who treat the risk. And accordingly, and because of the compliance requirement, I should have some way to measure, are we working effectively in the risk management or not? Maybe our team are not conducting the risk assessment in a proper way. Maybe the risk mitigation is not done on time. Maybe we need to allocate more resources, or we need to train the people that we have. How can I know that if I don't measure the risk effectiveness framework? Guys, could you just allow me 1 second? Sorry, guys. So risk management is one of the first KPIs that you should have. And it's quite clear. I mean, the framework should include the name of the KPI, a description. This KPI is used to measure what exactly. And then what is the formula of measuring this KPI? How frequently we are conducting the KPI, the target KPI, okay, and the purpose of the KPI. So this is a sample of a KPI framework. So risk, I think it's very straightforward. How many critical and high and medium risk was detected comparing to how many risk was treated, okay? And how frequently should we do that? It depends on how frequently we conduct risk assessment. If the risk assessment is done one per year, we need to have a KPI measured one time to see how many risks did we close. If our target was to close 90% of the critical and high and medium risk, did we achieve that this year or not? And if not, what is the problem? Departments are not cooperating. We need management support. We need to escalate. So risk is one of the most critical KPI. Vulnerability management, as you saw in the ISO 27001, it's also a very important technical control in place. And I believe if we follow the same approach, that how many vulnerability was detected in the last vulnerability assessment comparing to how many vulnerability was closed or patched, this will be a good way to measure the KPIs. How frequently we should do that? Still, it depends on how frequently we conduct the vulnerability assessment. Are we going to measure it monthly, quarterly? It depends. But you need to leave time for the improvement. So it should be done based on the frequency of doing the activity itself. Okay. One of the important KPIs that also I would like to highlight on is the incident management. Incident management is extremely important. And by the way, it's one of the few KPIs that should be 100%. You should assign the target for this KPI 100%. So how many incident was reported comparing to how many incident was closed. So one of the KPIs that should be 100% is incident management. And this is usually give you a lot of information if you are measuring it, and a lot of area of improvement. Do we need to have what can I say? Do we need to train our team? Do we have the proper qualified people for incident management or not? Do we have a proper SLA or not? How long it take to close any incident when it gets open? So it's one of the most extremely important KPIs. Another KPIs that I would like to refer to is awareness, information security awareness. And a lot of organizations use two different KPI to the awareness. One related to the attendance, because awareness is extremely important. It doesn't matter how many control you have in place. If you have a problem with the awareness, you will definitely start facing cybersecurity problem. So some organization will assign two different KPI for the awareness. One of them will be for the attendance. So if our organization, for example, has 100 people and we conduct awareness through an LMS or a live session or whatever is this situation, how many people attended the awareness comparing to how many people inside the organization comparing to how many people attended. So if only 70 people attend from 100, so it's 70%. But this does not reflect the effectiveness of the awareness. Maybe people attended, but actually they were not giving any kind of attention. Maybe they didn't get what you are saying. So they will have another KPI for attendance, for awareness, which is the effectiveness. Some organizations are conducting phishing attack after the awareness to see how many employee will click on the link and how many employee will report that to the service desk and so on. And if you have to select one of those two KPI, I will suggest the KPI related to effectiveness. It's more important than attendance. So this is a brief. All those templates, the templates to measure the KPIs, the framework, all those templates are available on a platform. I will share with you the platform name, but I hope the concept of KPI and the importance of the KPI are quite clear for you guys. And the skills in cybersecurity, from my point of view, is not that I know how to do something. So I cannot say that I'm skilled because I know how to manage a DLP or how to create a data classification policy. This is not a skill. This is something that you will learn in YouTube, or this is something that you will get training if the vendor implements the solution. The skills is to monitor the cybersecurity controls that was implemented and work on the improvements. This is more sophisticated. Okay, that's why in most of the ISMS implementation project, for example, this is an ISO project implementation, ISMS project deliverable. When you implement ISO or PCI DSS or NEST or any standard, most of the time, beside all the documents, the risk, the asset, the vulnerability assessment, but you will definitely find that one of the requests in any cybersecurity project to have or to provide an effectiveness framework, which is a KPI framework. So this is what I wanted to highlight on today. I hope it was informative, and I hope you got the idea or you got the importance of implementing an proper information security framework. First, let me take any question, if there is any question. I finished actually, so if you have any question, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And then I will show you from where can you get all those templates. Okay, let's see. I mean, you are moving to a different area, talking about risk appetite and involvement of the management. This is an important subject. And if you want, guys, I can do one session specifically about risk management and risk assessment and how to relate the risk management and the full process of risk management with the risk appetite of the organization, because this is related to appetite. I don't know if some of you are not aware of that. Is your organization risk taker or risk avoider? This is usually reflecting the risk management part, but I'm afraid this is not really related to the KPI. KPI is just a framework to measure the effectiveness of the security control you have in place. because company are spending a lot of money on security. They're spending a lot of money on the antivirus, on the same solution, on the vulnerability assessment tool. So at least you should have some way to measure the effectiveness of this tool and to see if there is an area of improvement, or should we change the tool, or should we change the process. So this was the objective of what I was talking about today. But for the risk, I will be more than happy to do another session to show you how we are doing that realistically in organization. Sure, I'll be more than happy to do that. Okay, because risk management is one of the KPI, but it's a big subject, as you know. So I will definitely consider something like that. Yeah, I believe the team will share the recording, and allow me also to share something from my side, if you don't mind. I'm adding all the resources that we are using in business, all the template, the documentations, step-by-step guide in an application called Cyber Mentor. Okay, it's a free application, completely free. It has it's a mentorship application where, based on your track or based on your skills, it will tell you the skills that you need to gain, and it will give you all those resources for free. So any templates that I shared today, not only in the KPI, I mean in GRC, in cybersecurity architecture, in SOC analyst, you will find, you just need to have to select the track of the positions that you are interested, and you will find a lot of templates and YouTube videos and documentation completely free. So it's available on the iOS and Android, and you can download it, and all those templates will be there. Okay, I think that will do it.